You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi along with Marcy Persky. In this installment, what happens when you just flat run out of sympathy? Also, have you ever had it happen that you don't think you're on a date, but the person sitting across from you does? I hate to talk shop in the podcast, but can you scooch up to that microphone?
I'll put like a halo thing that they put on the dogs, I'll stick it at the top of the mic and put it around my head so I can't move.
Oh, the cone of shame?
No, they're like halos for blind dogs.
I don't know what this is.
And I'm not laughing.
What is it? It's like a white cane for a dog?
It's a halo. Yeah, and it's for blind dogs so that if they run into stuff, it'll just bounce them back out.
Where do they wear this thing, the blind dogs?
On their head. It fits like right on their head. And then it looks like they have a halo.
I've never heard of this in my life. Do you hang around with a lot of blind dogs?
Well, I've had a few. They haven't had halos, but another one of my friends told me about it.
Cool.
And I looked it up. They're very expensive, but they're kind of cool. I kind of need one because I tend to like sideswipe doorways a lot.
Well, I was thinking the other day about when I ran into something with my hip, and I thought, it's because my hips didn't used to extend this wide from side to side, and that was kind of a horrible moment. So, yeah.
I went flying yesterday, hit my hip, too.
Again?
But, well, I was... This is so dumb.
I'm like a human halo. I just figured out.
I got so yelled at.
Yeah?
I just need human bubble wrap. But, I was taking Jerry the Pupzilla out to put him on his zip line.
Uh-huh.
And I usually take him on a leash. But yesterday, no, I was being lazy. I grabbed him by the collar with my bad arm, of course.
Ooh.
And he went one way, I went the other way. And he went down the stairs, and I went right into that big wood table that Frankie had built on our front deck.
Well, it was a nice table until it ate you alive. Speaking of going down the stairs, this is the season where people who aren't from Chicago or cold climates learn the hard way about ice. And you tell people over and over, hold on to the railing. Oh, I'm fine. Fine. But I have to point out, without saying anything political, a friend of mine has it in for a certain U.S. senator. I don't know if it's widely known that this particular senator took a tumble down an entire flight of airline steps.
Yeah.
And my friend, the radio production wizard, has set this fall to various forms of music.
Awesome.
So that the guy falls down the stairs to the drums, like dum 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 dum. In the Air Tonight is a big one. Dum 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 dum. Yeah, and weirdly, and also he keeps posting this video with the added comment, taking requests. So if you like, you can set this politician falling the entire length of a flight of airline steps to any music that you feel would be appropriate, and he'll give it a shot. He should do it as a fundraiser. And I say this knowing
him to do Tom Petty's Falling.
No, it has to have music that works with the fall, I guess. Oh, you could suggest. It
definitely has the word falling.
Free falling.
Several times.
But mostly he's been looking for the instrumental bridge that has a drum solo where it matches with the guy flying down the stairs, and he put it on his Facebook page with the caption, "I will never get tired of watching Senator fall." And
one of us is gonna fall now and hurt ourselves because we're laughing at somebody else falling.
Here's the awful part: when someone
that's not even the awful part.
When someone puts together a video like that, you feel hilariously amused to the nth degree, and then immediately what you just said, now I'll fall, or you feel ashamed of yourself. And the awful thing for me is that something has snapped and I don't feel ashamed anymore of
I
laughing.
don't either. I laugh. I laugh at anybody when they fall, except for the little baby in the house. He's still getting his legs.
He gets the pass.
Yeah, he's the only one that gets the pass, and he actually doesn't fall a lot because he doesn't stand up without holding on to something. Usually, when he grabs onto my pants and my pants fall down, that's when he falls because I don't wear a belt.
Well, he is one generation down from you, so maybe the falling over nothing at all gene is dissipated between,
Oh, I would hope so.
yeah,
Or maybe his daddy's side will override that.
coordinated. Yeah, if I were smart, I would have married an Olympian gymnast or something. Just to instead, I just wanted
That
somebody.
would be interesting.
And instead, I just wanted a guy with a high metabolism, hoping that it would counteract my sloth gene. But you're right. If I had married somebody with an Olympic training schedule, I would either be delighted or divorced by now. Although I was just talking today with a friend of mine about a time many decades ago. I was so clueless. I didn't always realize when I was being fixed up with someone. And
Yeah.
worse yet, I didn't always recognize when someone was representing me as someone that he'd been dating. I'd be clueless. I'd think somebody was a friend. And then all of a sudden, I'd realize that they were sort of putting it about that I was not just their friend, which was awful because I was having zero physical contact. It's not like friends with benefits that they could just assume it was something more with an emotional that we're talking people who maybe like you would hug goodbye when you left, right?
Right.
Right.
And I'm assuming this was before Facebook and in a relationship. And
Yes. Yes, years before. And I never did figure out why I was being introduced to this guy, but he was a very, very good looking ballet dancer, straight, with the American Ballet Theater of New York, which
Did
is,
you just say straight?
he was. I wanted to find that out first
Why
because
would,
I was trying to
why
figure out if I was
Why
being,
would you be introduced?
well, I was trying to figure out if that's why I was being introduced to him. I thought, well, if he's gay, then I am not being introduced to him as someone he might like to date. And once I figured out that he was straight, I had to evaluate him completely differently. And I apologize if you feel that me assuming that most male ballet dancers are not straight, if that's counting against me in your column. But too bad, because most of them
Are.
So there, I meet this guy, and I had only one question, which really disappointed him because I guess he wanted me to ask him more questions. And all I wanted to know was, when you lift those women up, when they leap at you and you lift them up over your head, I just want to know if you go, ugh, from hefting them up like that. You go,
Well,
ugh.
seeing that they only weigh 3 pounds.
And he said, sometimes we do it just to get to them. Just to play with them. And then I thought, okay, well, that's all I really need to know about you. Good night.
Hey.
Good
Yeah,
night.
that's why there's a lot of eating disorders in that profession.
No kidding. There was a woman who was very high up in the San Francisco Ballet, and she was retiring. This was in the 80s. They were making a big fuss over her retirement. And a reporter stuck a microphone in front of her face and asked, what were her plans for after retirement? And she said, well, the first thing I plan to do is gain 20 pounds.
Yeah. I could never be in a profession where I had to weigh a certain amount.
Yeah. People who used to fly airlines. I remember the first time I started seeing flight attendants who were normal sized. And I thought, what does the sun still set in the west? What is happening?
What the heck? That's me.
How did that happen? That a woman with some little meat, how come she's, and look, there's a guy and he's straight. So
It's
also
Say, there's
confusing.
another one of those professions.
It was all so confusing. There are things where you just sort of get used to living with the stereotype. And when the stereotype goes away, you notice it. I'll tell you what I noticed this morning. If you're finding this podcast weeks or years down the road, we are recording this just after the inauguration of Donald Trump v 2.0. I know that we are now officially not allowed to do any kind of DEI inclusion. Nobody knows what it means, by the way. We just don't know. But
We don't know.
we have
It's
no
so
idea.
random.
I have no idea. But I was listening to, if I get up late and I want to hear a certain morning show that's a public radio show, I listen to the broadcast on my phone that comes out of San Francisco because they're 2 hours earlier, so I can still hear it, right? I haven't heard a morning show where every single voice except the occasional reporter was male in forever. And it was an odd feeling.
It's going to be odder when you can't listen to public radio anymore.
Oh, there is that. It's a good observation on your part.
Everything's just going to be iHeartRadio.
I don't know what to make of any of this. And without the show getting political, I'm just so spun around that I keep wondering if people who are different politically oriented than I am and you are, I'm wondering if this felt like this to them when the last time things went the other way. And I have no idea. I don't remember feeling this way the last time a different party was in charge. I feel like I've been shaken in a jar.
Well, I have one thing to say.
Yes.
Probably not, but
Go ahead. I don't care
As you
anymore.
know-
I don't
as you
care
know,
anymore. There is no public radio.
Bro.
You can have fat flight attendants.
I
They're
suffer
all men on the
extreme-
morning show. I don't know anymore. Yes.
extreme government paranoia.
Well,
Which is why I live in the forest in a log house and communicate away where they can't see me.
But this
And
is
it
this
makes
is
me really nervous
but
that
this
there are
is-
21-year-old guys that are like digging around in computer systems looking at my information.
Would you rather have the 21-year-old guy digging in your tax returns or Steve in India?
Steve in India, to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Tory Writers' She Said What podcast. We're glad you found us, and I hope you'll find my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's all true, but I've changed the names of the people and the radio stations and a bunch of other stuff because I'd prefer not to get sued. You can find it at your neighborhood independent bookstore or on Amazon.